If you're a footballer, stop doing plyometrics and watch this video. I'm going to explain why plyometrics is not the answer to becoming faster, and why most of you guys doing plyometrics all the time mindlessly without understanding this one key principle, you're actually creating the recipe for injury down the line in your career. So footballers ask me about plyometrics is one of the age-old questions that I've gotten 1,000 times, and I'm sure I'll get 1,000 times more. And of course, it's one of those buzzwords that you hear in the performance world. Should I do plyometrics, XYZ? Should I do this or that? And the funny thing is, online, I would say at least 80% of the so-called plyometrics that I see on Instagram videos, on YouTube, on TikTok are actually not even plyometrics. They're just kind of half-assed agility stuff that they are calling plyometrics because it sounds good and because people like this word. It sounds edgy, sounds explosive, it sounds interesting. And in reality, plyometrics and the true form of plyometrics, the shock method that was basically invented by Soviet sports scientists working with Olympic athletes, who, by the way, that's an important piece of information that I'll come back to later, studied on and built a system working with Olympic level athletes in Soviet Russia. And so this government sponsored sports science, they were able to basically use and have an unlimited budget that in America or any other major country, Olympic athletes, you cannot study them because they're too valuable. There's no sports scientists that have the budget or would ever even get the ability to take a muscle sample or to do any kind of testing on an Olympic level athlete because he's worth millions of dollars. Instead, most of sports science in America and the West is based off untrained volunteers at random colleges, not based off elite athletes, which I assume if you're watching this video, you're a footballer that wants to become an elite athlete and become stronger and faster, all this stuff. Well, if you want to do that, you probably should study the best of the best. So getting back to the main question of the day is, should I do plyometrics? Well, for number one, your brain will never let you produce more force than you're capable of absorbing. So imagine a car. If you build an engine too powerful and the brakes are too weak, that car is not going to work correctly because the minute you try and use that power, you won't have the brakes or the control to use the car properly and not crash. Too much power, not enough brake, literally means that you're gonna crash very, very soon. So what you need to do first to allow your brain to start working on creating more power is increase your ability to absorb force. And so the best example that I want to show right here is with my ankle. Is when you land, if you land like this and the ankle is nice and strong and you're able to properly absorb force when you land, and that force, when your foot hits the ground, where does that force go? Does it go right into the calf? Does it go into the quad? Does it go up the back of your leg, the hamstrings, the glutes, wrapping around into your abdomen? What does your body do? What is your unique movement patterns? What is your unique way of absorbing force that your brain has developed over the course of your life from age 0, basically, that you first learn to crawl, to walk, and then to start jumping and having fun? You learn to, how do I absorb force so I can do more of this fun thing, jumping or running? Well, right now, in your chair or where you're standing, you have a framework that your brain has adopted to absorb force. Usually, there's two, like just in general. Of course, there's a big continuum of where people are on this, from this side or this side. It's not black and white, it's not night and day, but just for the sake of this example, making it simple for you guys, I will share that sometimes, and in general, guys that have very poor force absorption patterns, when they land, their ankle is so weak that it collapses immediately, and their calf and their quad have to tighten up and stiffen up to create force absorption to compensate for a lack of what's called fascial activation. Now, the only way the ankle can be strong and lock out on that landing phase is that the fascia locks up and wraps around all the musculature, the bones, and all the other tissue in the foot ankle complex. And that basically is one of the cornerstones of elite performance, is that ability for the ankle to lock up with fascial activation so that it can be a strong, stiff lever and absorb force and allow that force to be transmitted across the rest of the fascial system. Now, when you don't have that built up, what happens is that the muscles again have to compensate, they have to stiffen up, and your brain will create inefficient patterns of force absorption to help you compensate for your lack of functionality in the feet and your fascial system. So getting back to plyometrics, if you are doing plyometrics and your ability to absorb force is that bad, and your functionality is so bad that your body is creating a different pattern of force absorption, you are creating the recipe for injury, because you're just like building on really bad foundations. It's like building a house where the bottom is really weak, and then you're building on really fancy furniture and heavy things above it, and you're just creating a really weak overall system. And that is where you can get injury, because instead of your fascial system absorbing force from the plyometrics, you're sending force into the muscles, and then when the muscles get overloaded, then it's the joints. You have the knees, the hips, and that's why basically across the world we have an epidemic of injury, from athletes even to the general population. We have injuries across the board way more than, let's say, 40, 50 years ago. So what you need to do is instead increase your ability to absorb force, so that when you do, and that when you are ready for plyometrics, they're actually effective and actually beneficial, and they're actually helping you get somewhere. Because when you have this fascial activation in the foot, you have the ability to absorb force. Then when you do the plyometrics, it actually goes into the right systems of the body, so that you can actually become more explosive, which is your goal in the first place with plyometrics. So long story short, most you guys don't need plyometrics. You need to work on your force absorption. You need to work on your functionality, how well your body's integrated, so that when you do these explosive movements and you're absorbing large amounts of force, you're not breaking down your bones. You're not ruining how well your muscles turn off and on, and it's actually going into your fascial system. But then when you do build that fascial activation, then you can go all out and actually become a very elastic, springy, explosive player, because you have that functionality built into your system, built into your hardware. So that is a general answer to should I or should I not do plyometrics. My name is Taylor Davidson. I'm the founder of Football Entangled. We are the world's best performance system for professional and non-pro footballers. We build effortless performance. We transform guys from injured to world class. If you are non-pro, then hit that link down below. We help academy, college, and semi-pro players with our program called Total Footballer. If you are professional, I work with pros one-on-one on a private basis inside my program called Club Entangled. Both links are down below. If you just want to get more information about what we do in general, hit that link down below for our newsletter. It's a free newsletter every week. I send information about what's going on, all the new tips, tricks, and insights that I'm working on with my clients and my research, and all the cool things that we are producing at Football Entangled. Hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you guys very soon.